what are some of the new and emerging technology needs that you're seeing in the customer base of small to medium businesses in Texas that we support? What are these technology needs that need to be budgeted for now? What are we working with clients and prospects on, hey, this is the future, this is where things are going. Are you considering this, and are you, budgeting appropriately thereof?
The big thing that I'm seeing, then I'll hand it off to Patrick for anything that may be different, is over the last couple of years, a big focus of business and business IT has been response and general adoption of cyber insurance and cyber audits. So lots of our clients are getting these cyber audits and they're saying, okay, we need to fill this out. We're not exactly sure how to fill it out. We're not even exactly sure what we have, but we need to do this. And those cyber audits are giving us a really good roadmap of what needs to be put in place from a technology security perspective. So that guides a lot of my consultative with the client. Is really our business IT managed services is kind of morphed into IT security and managed services. And what we've seen is a big shift over the last couple of years since the pandemic. Infrastructure has been attacked in different ways. And what we have done as a company is try to adopt our solution stack and to propose solutions to our clients that are appropriately secure. So IT's changed a little bit. So what I've been doing for my clients is, in addition to trying to best meet their needs as far as their application layers and anything they need to work with their application vendors, I also try to get a seat at the table and say, look, security is a big deal. Here's your cyber audit requirements list, or at least what they want you to have in place. Here's potentially other third-party investor requirements. Let's put everything you need in place in a planned, methodical way over the next couple of years to answer yes to all of these questions. Patrick, are you seeing kind of the same stuff, or is it a little bit different for you?
Yeah, and I'm going to give an example. So what we see from a technology solution standpoint, we'll take mail services as an example, right? So insurance providers will specifically ask, are you, as an organization, hosting or running your own mail server, an exchange server, for example? Because right away, that is a huge risk to the organization, because it's a very big target for hackers, right? Like, they're the ones that are targeting these sort of information systems, these mail servers, because they're easy to gain access to. So having those solutions in place from a cybersecurity standpoint is a huge risk to the organization. So when we see that and we have a mail server that's running internally, again, when it comes to a point of refresh, it's like, it doesn't make sense to have that kind of system in your environment because it's too much of a risk to your organization. Everyone's adopted, a cloud mail provider, 365, those sort of products, because simply the amount of security that those providers like Microsoft have, their pockets are much deeper to apply security to those systems than a small to medium-sized business, right? So those types of solutions no longer make sense to run internally. So understanding not only what you have now, what the future holds for that information system, but how cybersecurity plays into those that decision-making process.
Seems like cybersecurity is wrapped around absolutely every decision we've been making the last 2 to 3 years. It's just nonstop barrage. And that's because the bad actors just won't go away.
Right.
Like, everything we do has to be centered around, are we protected? Are we secured to the best or to the budget ability?
Yeah, so
nonstop.
Solution design, obviously we've talked about hardware refreshes, we've talked about new solutions that may make sense from a cybersecurity perspective, and why adopting new technologies makes sense from that perspective. So that's part of the planning process. One of the things that, as a managed service provider, that we also do is look at service metrics, right? So we use ticketing systems where the end users will submit issues to the help desk, and we have a valuable amount of business intelligence information based on that metrics, right? So oftentimes we'll sit down and we'll look at kind of the problem areas over the past 12 months to understand what's sort of the pain points from an IT support perspective. And we look at that and we're like, well, what's driving those problems? What's driving those issues? And start thinking about, well, how can we solve these with technology, right? Like we'll go back to the email conversation. If we're spending a lot of time over the past 12 months just dealing with email support issues or something along those lines, we would look at that and say, okay, well, that's consuming the support cycles. What can we do to address that need so that we're not buried under these email issues? And it could very well
that
be
adds
we don't move that.
costs, right? I mean, it adds costs on our side that then parlays into costs on the client side. These investments have to happen in order to keep the overall total cost of ownership of your IT systems in line. If you're allowing this IT debt, as I know we've called it many times before, to percolate in your organization because you're not willing to have the CapEx or the OpEx conversion into cloud, it just gets more expensive to operate.